We are going to talk about how to borrow money from a bank, and we're talking about a local, regional, commercial bank. There's also national and investment banks, the big dogs. If you're doing a big deal or buying a big company, but for the most part, if you're looking for a line of credit for your business or for yourself, or a small equity line on your house, or a small commercial loan to buy a commercial property, or even to flip houses, do the buy, the BRRRR strategy, buy, rent, or buy, rehab, rent, and repeat. Small commercial and local banks, regional banks, can be a great resource for those things, to buy companies, capitalize businesses, buy commercial properties. You just need to know which bank to go to, how to speak their language, and how you need to present yourself. So first thing is, different banks like different types of deals, different types of properties, different types of businesses. So you just need to make sure that you're going to the bank, and you got to go to several banks, if not all of them in your area, and present them your deal, right? Because you just never know until you get to know the lenders, what they're looking for, and what their, what their appetite is. What's their lending limits. What does their loan committee situation look like? Is it weekly, bi-monthly, monthly, that type of thing. At the loan officer level, what are their lending limits personally? And then, their boss above them, what's the branch lending limits? So you can have all these conversations on the phone. What type of properties do they like to lend on? What type of businesses do they like to lend on if you're looking at businesses? And how do they feel about home equity lines of credit or unsecured lines of credit? So you just got to ask those questions on the phone. Make sure you have a digital package put together that has your business plan, executive summary of the property that you're going to buy, or the business that you're trying to capitalize or purchase, or get a line of credit for. You want to make sure that you've got a 1 to 3 page business plan, that just a very brief summary of the business and a very brief executive summary of the real estate project that you're looking to buy, rent, flip, whether it's commercial, residential, whatever it is. And ask a few questions over the phone. You're interviewing them. Banks are in the money, are in the business to lend money. They're in the money business, but they make their money by lending. So banks need to put money on the street. The loan officers, the branches, branch managers, they're all accountable. And generally a bank's going to lend about 1% of their deposits or their assets in reserves. So, each branch has their own lending limits, unless they're a collective, and then, they collectively pool the resources of all the branches. And then there's a different level of loan committee there. So you need to know, who you're dealing with, what their lending limits are, whether or not loan committee, if they're going to be your advocate at the loan committee, or if you're going to a regional level. And you need to be well put together when you have that meeting. So it starts with the on the phone interview. Tell them what you're looking, ask them what they do, what they like, that kind of thing, so that ultimately what they're looking for. And if it sounds like it fits, tell them what you're looking for. I have this business I want to buy, and here's what it does, here's what it sells. Great income. Do you do asset-based lending? Do you do cash flow-based lending? Find those things out. And when you have that appointment with the banker, make sure you're very well put together, you're dressed properly, looking professional, and that you have a complete and thorough package with all of your last 3 years financials, P&L statement, balance sheet, those types of things, and the executive summary of the business. If it's a new business, then you've got to have projections, and you need to be very realistic. They're gonna, the bank's gonna do their own underwriting, and they're gonna look at your assumptions, and you want to be very conservative because bankers are conservative. So it's not a difficult process. Banks are your friends. They want to lend money. They are looking for deals. They're looking for places to put capital. So they are your assets. They are your allies, but you got to know how to talk to them. You got to know how to use them. You got to know how to present yourself. Make sure you've got that package put together. Update that personal financial statement regularly, so when you send it off, it's all done. So you want your last 3 years tax returns, your personal financial statement updated. If it's a business, the last 3 years business tax returns, P&L statement, balance sheet. If it's a business that you're buying, same thing. If it's a new business you're starting, projections. If it's a real estate project, you got to do an executive summary. Here's what I'm buying the house for, or commercial property. Here's what it's worth. Here's what the cash flow is. Here's what I'm going to flip it for. Here's the value add I'm going to do. All that type of stuff. So it's just a quick and just 1 page to 3 page executive summary. Very simple, not complicated. The shorter you make it, the better off it is, and the easier it is for the bank to understand what you're trying to do. And then you just have that ready in a digital format, so that when they ask for it again, you can just fire it off each time. You look extremely organized, put together, professional, like you know what you're doing. And that is how you get loans from banks. You have to go to a lot of different banks because they're all different. They all have different lending limits. They all have different reserves. They all have different appetites. They all have different offers of interest rates, points, things like that. Everything's negotiable. The better you look, the more put together you are, and the better your deal is, you'll be able to call the shots. Remember, you're interviewing them, not the other way around. You're giving them an opportunity to fund you or your deal. That's what you're doing.